Welcome to the Rock the Stage Show. Each week, international media expert Rich Bontrager has in-depth and personal conversations with celebrities, top leaders, authors, speakers, and media professionals. Now, from the Rock the Stage studios, here's your host, the Trigger, Rich Bontrager.
Welcome back to Rock the Stage Show. It's Sunday night. The Trigger, Rich Bontrager, back with you once again. Thank you for taking the time to being here for another highly unscripted conversation. And tonight, I got one of my all-time favorite returning guests with you. And we're going to open up a new topics tonight. She's opened up a new space for what she specializes in, making a little adjustment as we all have to do from time to time. And we're going to get into that. Don't forget, we're now expanding ourselves on Rock the Stage Show as well. We are now on Roku TV, IMP TV. We are on Amazon Fire, the Brave Arts TV network, and we're still on YouTube as well. So please join us, like us, share us, make a comment or two, and don't miss an edition of Rock the Stage Show. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever felt like you're not seen, you're not heard, that you're invisible? Even though you're producing content, creating out great information, for some reason, you just don't feel like you are seen. There's so much noise, there's so much buzz out there, and you're not getting through. Or could it be something else that's limiting you on getting through and feeling like you're invisible? We're going to tackle that phenomenon right now because it's growing and it's affecting on camera performance, businesses, and loneliness is creeping in more and more because we don't feel seen or heard. The media has labeled my guest tonight, Sandra Dee Robinson, the charisma coach. She's a former soap opera star, international speaker, TV radio host, author, and animal advocate. She's also a TV radio host, and she's also the charisma on camera presentation coach. In 2010, she jumped into that more and more. And in 2019, she began partnering with executive with horses on team building and self-leadership coaching with her horse-powered executive retreats. She supports heart-driven leaders to courageously share the message of the brand or cause through speaking, videos, interviews, or any high-risk presentation that they could bring to life. Welcome, my dear friend, colleague, Sandra Dee Robinson, the Rock the Stage Show.
Hey, Rich. Thanks for having me on today. It's really fun to be on your show again. Thank you.
It's always a blast to have you back. Besides the work we do together, it's great to feature you and what you're doing. And
Thanks.
we're pivoting, we're changing all
A
the
little.
time. And I think you're
Yeah.
touching on something that is really big right now, but people aren't talking about it. So I'm glad you are. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you put this out there because the invisibility is impacting people,
Yes.
women especially, I think, but men too are feeling so much noise, so much junk. Where am I?
Yes. And there's so many reasons for that. You touched on something right there in the intro where you said you don't feel like you're seen or heard. And that is actually that's a core need for humans to feel like we are seen and we are heard. It's one of the things, and we talk when you mentioned that we did the retreats with teams, and the team building, the team cohesion, and the communication between them was what we focused on in the retreats when we were working in the nature environment there with the horses. And that's where I really started to see that if you let your team members each feel like they are seen and heard, they're going to be more tied into the workplace. They're going to be more cohesive. They're going to have that understanding for each other and that emotional safe space that people talk as a buzzword, but it really does mean something, especially now, as we were saying once before we started to get on the show here about AI increasing and the
Yeah.
need for that human connectedness to be increasing at the same rate, which is hard because AI is changing constantly and there's constant change in everything that we're doing. In fact, just like social media, you were talking about posting and feeling like you're invisible. AI is a big reason why, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Because AI now is replacing your voice, replacing your brand in some cases. And
Yeah.
what you and I both talk about in our media coaching and directing of leaders is you are the brand. So your
Yeah.
voice, your actual face,
Yes.
you matter more than anything else. And AI will never replace that. It's a tool, but should never replace you. Do you think that's part of the invisibility problem right now? They are replacing themselves by accident?
Somewhat, when I chose to really look at right now, I'm looking at women in particular. And you said, yes, men absolutely feel the same way. I mean, young people, old people, there is that sense of how do I get seen and heard in such a chaotic environment, especially
Yes.
online, but even in real life. I
Hmm.
noticed that I think my favorite women that were my private clients to work with, if I could say favorite, that's probably not fair, is it? But we all have them. The most rewarding, I think,
Right.
were women that, for whatever reason, had that sense that they felt like they were wearing a cloak of invisibility. And these are not wilting flowers of women. These are women that are sometimes incredibly beautiful, sometimes very, very smart, degrees longer than I can even say in one breath behind their name, and something has happened that has made them sit back and go, wait, what's changed? I don't feel like I'm being heard or seen. And there's a few reasons for that,
Yeah.
actually. If you want me to go into there's the
Well,
three
before
right
we
up and
dive
down.
into the meat of it, before we get into the big three key elements,
Yeah.
I'm also interested in the psychology
Yeah.
because sometimes we feel we may not be seen and heard, but in fact we are, and it's our own head, it's our own attitude. There's a self
Sure.
perception that gets in the way of reality. How much of this is? I'm not blaming all that. How much is
Right.
that part of the equation?
No, that's actually a really, really good point. And it is. I mean, I even say it starts as an inside job. If you want to go from invisible to influential, it does start as an inside job. And that inside job is like a mechanism that has to constantly be running. It's like the fan in your oven. If the fan isn't working, your oven's just not going to work right no matter what, right? The fan that's in your air conditioning. Your air conditioning may come on, but the fan's not working. Ain't nothing actually going to be cooling down and happening. So it is definitely an inside job, and that work has to continue to keep moving forward. So when I say inside job, that's mindset. That is, how are
Yes,
you perceiving yourself? So when someone says to me, I feel like I've been affected by ageism, I wasn't hired for this,
yes.
is that really what happened, or is that what they're projecting?
Well, but
Is there a
ageism
way
is
to
a
know?
real thing. We can't ignore it. Most people
It
don't
is
talk
a real
about
thing.
it, but
Yes.
that doesn't mean you're invisible.
No.
Because you can
No.
fight that. You can show yourself as being respectable, a leader, an influencer, an expert. You can do that, right?
For me, ageism in my first career in the
Right,
acting world, oh my gosh, I mean, I had experiences with that when I was in my early 30s, because that is obviously, as much as they try to change they claim to be changing
right.
the atmosphere when it comes to who is starring in films and things like that, it still is by and large driven by young, attractive individuals. That's who gets cast as leads in most things. And so at 33, I was being told to go to an audition where I was auditioning for a character that was 33, and it was pounded on me by the casting director. Make sure, he said to my agent, make sure she looks young, make her look young. Because even though the character was 33, in that make believe world, 33 looks like 20. And see, we can carry that over into our real life,
Yes.
and that's not real life. You know what I
No,
mean? The
no.
expectation is a little unrealistic. And so the beauty of it is realizing how much more somebody with experience can actually bring to a leadership role or bring to a company, in the case of sales, because they've been there, done that. And there is a wonderful mentorship that can go on within teams where a younger person, as long as that communication is there, a
Mhm.
younger person can almost reverse mentor someone who is older, and then the older person can actually teach, a lot of times it's social skills, to be quite honest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So,
that's what I found.
is there also is there ageism, but it's more of a gap? Young people, like you talked about, the 30 somethings, the jobs, the glam, all that stuff.
Yeah.
The 40s to maybe 60 are a lot in the gap. They're not as seen, they're not as heard, they are somewhat invisible. But there's something about the 65, 70 who are the wise owls and they get grabbed sometime. Is there a
Sometimes.
gap that we need to address?
Yes, it could be that
Mhm.
they are in what used to be called, or maybe it's still called, the sandwich generation.
Yes.
So I have some of those clients that
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
kids and they're taking care of their parents at the same time, which leaves them with like next to no sense of their own life, right? So if they go through that, they absolutely feel like they're invisible because everything they're doing is for everyone else. And then there is the person that feels invisible because there's been so many years of self-doubt for whatever
Right.
circumstances there are. It could just be that they downplayed their strengths. Perhaps they were in a marriage where the male was very dominant, and maybe they're divorced or they've lost a spouse, and now they're looking around going, well, I feel like I can shine. I have things I want to do, but I'm not really sure how to do that because they haven't lit up that light from within for so long. And I had a client that was absolutely stunning, but she always took place to her husband whenever they would go out, and they would do red carpet things. And her representation for the products that she was developing called me and said, "You need to work with her because she's disappearing on the red carpet." This
Wow. Where's the
beautiful
red carpet
girl
made to have you pop off?
was
The red carpet's designed for that.
but it was her husband that she was going forward, and she would stand behind. And I'm not saying that is always wrong. I mean, there's something beautiful about standing behind your husband and letting him shine,
Yes.
but to the expense of losing what you are designed to here to do. And I think we are all designed to do something. And if it is still weighing on your heart and you have the opportunity, whether the kids have now gone off to school or something has just as my friend says, a significant shift in your life that opens up something, then I think it's an awesome opportunity to go from that feeling of being invisible to actually stepping out and feeling what it feels like to be seen and to shine and to create something that has been on your heart for a while. So I have a lot of fun working with women like that and just seeing them make things happen and then see the ripple effect of what these women can do. It's phenomenal.
So I'm gonna mine that a little bit deeper because I've seen it, you've seen it, I know, but the easy example is that celebrity that was on the top rung and vanishes. They want to stay home. They want to be the mom. They want to take care of the kids. They want to be at the soccer games, or they start up a side business, and the side business takes off.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they come back around like, well, I want to step back in the acting career, and they're not getting the calls. They
Acting
become
or business.
invisible because of all the stuff going on that they wanted. All the
Yeah.
stuff took over. How
Yeah.
can you help somebody? What would be a great tip for someone who's been through that sandwich years and they want to come
Yeah.
back out the other side? How do they do it? How do they return?
So there's three things, actually, if I can share those three things
Yeah.
that will help, and this is particularly for women, but men can do it too, that will help focus on yourself instead
Mhm.
of everybody else and start in the very beginning. Remember I said it's an inside job in the beginning.
Yes, it is.
So to be able to start with the inside and get focused and get into that feeling so that you know what the lane is that you're going to take. And it's one of the first things is, and we've heard this 1,000 times, put the phone down. Put the phone down for a few reasons. Number one, you want to be present to have the presence
Right.
for it to show up well, but it also helps to increase your mental ability to keep yourself up, because when you're feeling like you're not in the right place, you're feeling like you're not seen and heard, it can lead to depression, it can lead to loneliness, as you mentioned. It will
Mhm.
feed right into that, and it's hard to move when you get into that space. I've been in that space. I've battled this space. I know. I mean, I've had in the past, I've had months where it was hard for me to even think of getting out of bed. So I understand that it can be absolutely paralyzing. So super important to protect your brain. And there was just a study that was done in May, in fact, where they took phones away from a group. It was a research study. They took phones away for 72 hours. Now here's the amazing thing. Yes, in the beginning, just like at my retreats, when I say we're going to take your phone away, everybody does that. They start to freak out. They're like, right? And they panic and they may feel this anxiety and these negative emotions and feelings for a little while. But at the end of 72 hours, here's the amazing thing: the brain had already started to kind of reboot the dopamine and the serotonin levels in the brain. In other words, we count on that sometimes. That's the addiction, and we're all addicted. I'm addicted, you're addicted, we're all addicted to it. There's good and bad news here, right? The bad news is we're all addicted, because you can look at someone that's waiting in line at the grocery store and go, "Wow, look at them. They're on their phone." Huh? The entire time they're on their phone, and then you pick up your phone. You're like exactly the same. You know, people yell at their kids. why are you on that video game all the time? Your phone, your face never comes up to talk to me. And then they get back on scrolling through Facebook. We do the same thing that we see other people doing, and we don't even realize how addicted we are. There was something called a movie in 2020, you might remember, called The Social Dilemma.
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
see this?
Yes.
It was eye-opening, right?
Yes.
How at that time we could even say you could see the beginnings of AI starting to work with the social media companies, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna juice up your dopamine on this hit. We're gonna get you hit with this post. We're gonna get you sucked into click on this and click on that." And when you realize that's what was going on, they're nudging you in directions that maybe are not going to be where your brain needs to be focused to get you moving into a happy place and where you're going to be creating for your own self. And it is very easy to get caught in that for sure.
Mhm.
Now it's made even tougher because it's not just the marketing companies and social media companies that are using the AI. Everybody, you, me, I
And
use it at times,
yes.
right? I do. I mean, we almost have to use AI at certain ways, but everybody seems to have the opportunity to use AI to do something that grabs your attention. It's an attention economy, and you're paying for it with the one resource that you cannot expand, and that's your time.
So let me jump in here because now you got my brain exploding on this even deeper, which is perfect. So one of the things that I'm hearing is we are so darn active and doing so much.
Yes. Yeah.
It's in our own head, but now the other problem is we're polluting our own pipeline of information by being everywhere all the time ourselves. So we're not distinctive. We're just generating more noise. Is
Yes.
that part of the problem not being seen? It's like white noise. Oh, there
Yes.
she is again. There she is again. There she is again.
Well,
Instead
I
of
just
being distinctive.
yes. Yes, and it's interesting because I just took, and this was funny because it was almost like the study that we just had. I took almost 2 weeks off
Yes.
of social media, and at first I was feeling so guilty because I automatically would wake up and go, "Oh, I see somebody in my field posting, or I see that person posting. Well, I gotta post. I gotta post," and I would just vomit up any kind of random act of marketing and get myself like, that a girl, right? That a girl. You did it. You put a post up. And I really didn't work with somebody and work out that plan and
Mhm.
have something that was very pure and to the point because I was doing exactly what I just said, letting all of the chaos get into my head and not taking the quiet time away from all the social media and all the interaction and the rings and the dings and the cell phone blings and all of that and just having quiet time to sit still. And so, yes, I know what it feels like, and you can be adding to the chaos. It is
Yeah.
really important to stay in your lane. And I think I've refined my lane right now even
Mhm.
more, which feels really good. Because as much as it feels like I don't want to limit myself, I want to help everybody. You, it to have the what do you call the things on the side of the road? To have
The
the bumpers on
guardrails.
the side of the
Yeah, you
road,
have to have the
guardrails.
guardrails.
You got to have some guardrails. Otherwise, you're just going to be going all over the place. And so, yes, I think that's definitely it. The other chaos that we can help to avoid is stop. This is another stop. There are three things to stop doing, and this is the second one. Stop filling all the empty space in your calendar.
Oh,
It's
right?
the equivalent to the having to scroll, having to keep our brain on something.
Right.
We look at a calendar and if you're color coded like mine is, right? And there's a space that's white. Oh no. It's like, who says you have to fill that? You don't have to. In fact, the best thing to do is at the beginning of the day, look at tomorrow and just go, okay, I'm going to keep this spot open, even if it's 5 minutes. The reason that this is so important is at some point when you are starting to regulate how you react and the feelings that you get about making decisions about things.
Yes.
Should I do activity A or activity B? Because I only have one slot in the afternoon that's white right now. What am I going to do that's going to feed where I want to go with my life and what I want to do? The more you can rely on how you feel in your body and tune into it like that intuition, that intuitive hit, that understanding of this feels light as a decision, this feels heavy. It's that simple. We all have that. But when we get into this crazy race where there's no normal, natural rhythm in our lives because we fill all the white spaces,
Right.
we can't even begin to grasp what is intuitively where we should be. So taking even 10 seconds where there's a little exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You
Mhm.
literally just do Sit for yourself. You don't have to say anything out loud. You can do this anywhere. Find 5 things that you see, go through your senses. 4 things that you hear, 3 things that you see what I'm saying? 3 things that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
taste, and just go through your senses. And at the end of that, you will then be able to say, "Okay, I recognize where there's some tension in my chest. I'm gonna take a deep breath and just let go of that." And it's amazing how much you can reset yourself.
Well, the slowing down, the stopping, like you're talking about, but there's
Mhm.
another part in this. What I was told years ago, because I'm a creative. You're a creative, but
Yeah.
I was told, I was challenged actually. It was like, do you ever just stop, meditate, let your brain wander? Do you have a day where you're more in that flow
Zone?
state of just absorbing, listening, doodling, writing down?
Yes.
And I was like, you know, I do it sometimes, but I always feel the pressure to fill the calendar. And the best advice I got was stop. You need to listen to your mind, your spirit, the things you're talking about,
Yes.
so you will be better productive at the things you do. Instead of keep pumping out junk, pump out the quality, but listen to what you're supposed to create and why. I now set time alone to intentionally block off the calendar. It's white, it's locked out. I'm a dreamer and I get charged to do it right. And
Yeah.
I've seen more and felt more because I'm sharper in my space now.
So you feel like you're getting more done.
I feel like I'm getting more done and better on target and
Yeah.
more focused for people to find me and attract to me. Do you think that's part of it? We have to give ourselves permission to be
Yes.
still?
And do you know why we feel like we need to have that permission? This is my philosophy, and I've heard a few people talk about this. There is such an expectation when somebody says, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a long time." What is the answer we hear the most? "I've been so busy.
I've been so busy.
I'm so busy. I'm
Right.
sorry, I didn't get to that. I meant to
Right.
call you, but I'm so busy. I meant to stop by, but I'm so busy. I'm so busy." Busy is not a badge of honor. And sometimes we feel like it is, so we put it out there as a reason for not being available to our important relationships, to any relationships. And that also over the last 2 weeks, by the way, I reached out to 5 people that I had felt like I lost contact with or that I wanted to get to know more. And I keep saying, "Oh, one day we should have lunch." I finally called up and said, "We're going to lunch. Where would you like to go?"
Right.
It's a human connectedness thing. This is
That
what
was
you
my
and I
next
have
point I
been
was going to
talking
go
about.
to. That
Yes,
was
that's
exactly
what
my
that's all
next.
about.
Yeah.
It's okay to fill that space with human connectedness and not, "Oh, I have to do my marketing." It's actually where our own humanness, working with each other. I mean, my conversations with other people a lot of times will spark the rabbit hole that I'll go down as far as research goes, which is
Right.
where I am now. Yeah, and then I love it. But it comes from not from sitting at home in front of a computer clicking away. It comes from having interaction with people. That's what we're here for.
Well, and the loneliness and I'm
Yes.
not seen, I think it's partly because we're not in human relationship the deeper we were. Again,
No.
I'm a big fan of virtual. I have great conversations. I go deep with people, but not everyone
Mhm.
that way. But I think the idea of focusing on being human, being authentic, being real helps you because now they can identify deeper with you and you are seen, you are
Yes.
heard because there's a heart to heart connection here. And I think we're
Yep.
missing heart to heart connection.
Very much so. And that's actually where the invisible word came from. Was a conversation I was having with a woman that used that word, and I thought, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, I hardly thought that she would feel that way because from the outside, she looked like she had everything, but the word invisible, and then I threw it out in a social media post as an experiment, and the
Mm.
people that responded to me, I was really surprised that this is a word that a lot of women in particular, as you mentioned in the beginning, a lot of women in particular feel an emotional kick from. I've
Yeah.
had people say to me, "Oh my gosh," when I was working in the corporation, they would tell me, "You're not ready for promotion." And they would promote a guy, even though I'd been there longer. And she goes, "It was the worst feeling. It was the worst. It was the worst." And I could see like it had been years since this woman had been in the corporate world. She's had her own business and successful, but there's still that thing. It's like, oh, it makes me so angry that I was passed up and looked over and it was like I wasn't even in the room. She'd put up ideas in a meeting and then the guys would walk out patting themselves on the back because they thought of that idea, which was her idea.
So
So
is
there's a lot of that. Yeah.
so is one of the techniques and this may sound counterintuitive, but if they feel invisible, not seen, not heard,
Yeah.
lost in the noise, is one of the techniques possibly to do like you did. Take a 2 week break, disappear,
Mhm.
and then
Sometimes.
resurface in a fresh new light. Or they go, "We missed you. We didn't see you for a while." And the curiosity comes back because they're so used to just seeing you, seeing you, seeing you. Is that part of it?
Sometimes that will work. Not everybody can take 2 weeks off of what they're doing, though. Yeah, if you're the show, if you're running the business, it's tough. Or if you just your family, whatever your obligations, if you just can't disappear for 2 weeks. There is, I think one of the most important things is, and in number 3 thing to stop doing is to stop waiting for, well, I guess I could put it, if, when, then day. You're waiting for the if then,
Yes.
when, or
Yes.
if when then day. And
Mhm.
that means, well, when my husband retires and we have more time, I'll do my thing that I've been wanting to do. Or when the kids finally leave the house, when my business slows down a little bit, then I'm going to actually start my nonprofit, or I'm going to go do this thing. And there's so many reasons, excuses, right? That allow us to avoid thinking about what we're designed to do. And so, as I was just said to someone the other day that is in this space, but she hasn't made the decision. She was on the phone with me and she said, I don't, when I get up, I'm not excited. I feel like I'm doing something that I'm not contributing anything of value to. She had that feeling of being not seen, not heard.
Right.
And she was working by herself. So she had this loneliness thing going on. She had this whole
Yes.
thing. And I said, I have all kinds of ways I can help you, but you need to, and here's the thing, need to make the decision that you're going to go for something different. And until you actually make that decision, this is a whole show in itself about
Right.
making the decision.
Yes.
But until you make that decision, really, you're going to just keep waking up and having, it's going to be like Groundhog Day. It's going to be the same feeling. So when that decision is made, here's the thing that I think is the most important thing to do. Even if you find somebody that's going to mentor you, or you go to someone like you or I, because I know you help people with their personal brand and getting the brand. My personal branding is a little different. It's no surprise. It's from the inside out. Is how I work with
Right.
people. That's what worked for me. But when I work with people on personal branding, it's not just showing them how they can best show up, but showing what other people love about them.
Right.
And when you realize that's what people see in me, oh, well, that feels really good to put that thing on because that's who I have always been. Yes, that's it. So you're not reinventing yourself. Even if you're in your 50s and you've been waiting for the if, when, then day,
Right.
you're only bringing back remembering what all those wonderful things are about you that is your personal brand, and that's what you're going to step back into the workplace with. And you come in with that confidence of knowing what your unique brilliance is. What is different about you? What are you bringing? It's not about competing with the younger people. It's not about anything other than showing up as you in your richest design, like everything that you are designed to be, and fearlessly standing up for that. If you have a coach that works with you and allows you the space to think of that big, audacious dream that you have,
Mhm.
and then sits with you and says, and maybe your friends won't do this because it can be scary for them to do this. But if you have a coach or someone that sits with you and says, that's great, that dream is amazing. What if it works?
Well, and that's one of the scariest things. What if it works?
I
A
know.
lot of people, again, going back to a point earlier, was they're waiting, they're waiting, they're waiting. But what if it works? And
Yeah.
some people are like, well, if it works, I don't know what to do, but I have no idea, but I didn't plan the next thing.
But that's okay. Then you go there. Like that's part of it. It's like, what if it works? And then you say, well, this would be the great thing about it. This could be a bad thing about it. But really look at what if it did work? Is that where you want to go? Because if it is where you want to go, it's that decision again, that decision making, and then move forward. And that
Is
is
there
huge.
something also about this invisibility
Mhm.
that less is more? So sometimes interviews, talk show, podcasts, everyone's wanting to be on one right now. Everybody's, but we don't know how to shut up. And like I remember the old commercials, E.F. Hutton,
Yes.
he would say one little sentence and the room would freeze and it was gold for the day. And it was like the sky parted and that was it. Is
Right.
that part of finding a way to break through the noise by saying less, but make it clearer, sharper, more effective? And you do get noticed for that laser pointed moment. You own the room. Is that part of it?
It's so interesting. Yeah, we this can be a deep dive on this right here.
Yeah.
It certainly. There's something about the silence, the power of silence. And oh my gosh, I had copied this quote somewhere and I absolutely loved it. It said something along the lines of every word that you speak is a seed, and one day you will have to eat what you harvest.
Wow.
Right?
That's a
And I'm
great
sure
quote.
I butchered the crap out of that, but it sounded so cool.
Right.
And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And so every word that you speak is a seed. What is it that you're planting? And to be silent and then say, because I used to be so insecure that I felt like I had to fill the space, not just
Right.
in the calendar, I had to fill the space in the conversation.
Yep.
And the most powerful person in the room usually can get away with saying the least, for
Yes.
sure. Now, if somebody is already feeling invisible, to tell them to be more quiet, maybe not the right thing.
Right.
It's an individual choice of how to handle that, but there is definitely something that can be powerful about that. It's also relating to, especially if you're talking in person,
Yeah.
it relates to body language as well.
Yes.
So,
Reading the
something
room.
reading the room, I and again, to go back to the cell phone thing,
Yeah.
right? Um, if you're standing here's an example, if you're standing in a circle of people that are chatting and talking away and someone picks up the phone, do you find, at least I do, I consider them to be vacant from the conversation and I will stop addressing them and go to address everybody else. Even once they put that phone away,
Mhm.
people will not re-enlist them in the conversation because they disengaged by picking up the phone. So in a subconscious way, we have now dismissed that person. No, they can work their way back in and say, "Hey, sorry guys," and get back into the conversation, but
Right.
some people don't. They may sense that, "Oh, I've been out of the conversation now," and they'll walk away, and I've seen this happen, and that is part of the feeling invisible for some people. And it's all because the phone came into the conversation. So again, we're back to step 1 of things to give up.
Right.
Put down the phone during conversations.
Be present,
Be
which
present.
I think people right now are screaming for that because of all the noise. They would like to know Sandra's listening to me. Sandra's in tune with me. I'm in tune with Sandra. Nothing else matters. It
Yeah.
can go to voicemail, whatever. I think people want that because that's where we do elevate. We do get seen and heard when we're in intimate conversations.
Well, that word charisma, right, that I got labeled with, which I thought was the tackiest thing on the planet, but now if people know it, it's fine. But the charisma coach thing, but the word charisma, if I ask people, describe the most charismatic person you've ever met, the description that I get more often is not about the person and the way they acted as much as the person that met them, how they felt.
Hmm.
It's they would often say, "I felt like I was the only one in the room. I felt like they were talking right to me," because the other person was listening and present and had them feel like they were being seen and heard.
So,
That
is that one of the secrets of when you're feeling invisible?
Mhm.
To focus on making the other person feel visible because they will get exactly what you're talking about. They will go, they notice me, they paid attention. This person's amazing. I love this person. And by osmosis, they actually think you are the rock star. You are the
Yes.
visible one because you're focusing on them.
Yes. Yes. It's a funny little trick, but yeah, you will feel more empowered, and sometimes you say the least. It is very, very interesting to go out and play with this. And I used to send clients that were very shy or introverted and were they really wanted to get their interview skills down. So I said, go out and interview 3 people a day. And at first they freak out, right? I'm like, no, no, no. I don't mean interview fully. I mean ask questions. And, you know, how are you isn't necessarily going to be one of them. I said, I want you to ask a legitimate question. Maybe it has something that you run into somebody in an elevator and you like their shoes. Legitimately, like, seriously, no, don't make up stuff and be
Right.
false, but
Yep.
say, "Oh my gosh, I love your shoes. Where did you get them?" That's a question. That's a question that starts a conversation, and then shut up. And I did that with a woman just the other day. I asked her about her dog. We both
Mhm.
had our dogs, and we were at a store. I took my dog, turned the air conditioning on, and took my cart back. And as I'm taking my cart back to the hardware section, she's walking out with her dog and she asked me where my dog was. And I asked her a question about her dog. And then I asked her another question about her dog. And I asked her about her job because she said the dog and her job it was an issue and she decided to choose the dog over the job. And there was this, I said, well, and I gave her a few words of encouragement, and I said very little. I asked
Mhm.
questions. And maybe they were somewhat clarifying questions because I do what I do, right? I can't help it. My husband rolls
Right?
his eyes sometimes. He's like, "Oh my God." Like, "I'm sorry. I can't help it." So maybe they were slightly clarifying questions or validating questions or whatever for what she was doing. But as I walked away, she goes, "Thank you so much. You made my day. Are you an angel?"
And isn't that what we all want? Isn't that what we all want?
And I may never see her again. But that interaction, I walked away like I felt seen, and I didn't tell her anything about me.
Right.
Didn't tell her anything.
So we're gonna
Yeah,
go to your website right now. We're gonna pop this website on up, scan the QR code, learn more about
for
Sandra Dee
sure.
Robinson,
Yeah.
actress, author, coach extraordinaire, and she wants you to be seen. So what else are we gonna find on your website, Sandra?
Oh, there's an interactive newsletter. When I say interactive, because people actually respond to it and I respond back. So it's not just a bot automatic thing going out. It is
Right?
actually rather personal. So and I love that. It's a great way for me to keep in touch with people. There's also, I want to invite people that if you follow me on social media, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, um, you can message me there. You can message me through the site as well, which Rich has up there, which is my name, SandraDRobinson.com. You can message just one word. You can message influential, and I'll make sure that you get the first invite to the new class that I'm going to be doing. It's a free class coming up. We're talking about going from invisible to influential, and the steps that you can take along the way, and knowing that if you are feeling invisible, it's okay. It's only a temporary space.
And that's maybe one of the biggest takeaways. It is temporary. It
Yeah.
is not the death kill. You can bounce back.
Well, it's not where
And
we're designed to be. It's
no,
not where we're designed to be. So it's temporary.
well, Sandra D. Robinson, it's great to have you back on the show again. And
Thanks.
again, this lane that you're making a simple adjustment to, I think it is very important. I think people need to hear this because we've all felt it one place or another. We've all felt we're in a massive room, we've been asked to show up, and you feel like you're the
Yeah.
loneliest person in the room.
It's very, very much almost like an epidemic that I
Yeah.
think is still a result of the shutdown, as we talked about, for
Yep.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Sandra D, thanks for being here on Rock the Stage Show tonight.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's Sandra D. Make sure you do check out the website. Go learn more about this new exciting portion of what she's doing with her charisma coaching. She works with horses. She works with leaders in many different ways. It's multidimensional, which I think is part of what we need to reflect on. You are a multidimensional person yourself. You're not one dimensional. You're not one trick pony. There are many facets to who you are. So when you feel maybe that you're not being seen, not being heard, you're not thinking you have the influence you are, take a step back and realize that people are seeing you in many different facets. And it's okay to not have all of them shiny bright at the same time. And we'll let one of those facets come through. And that's what that person needs for that day. Hey, that's going to do it for this edition of Rock the Stage Show. We'll be back next week once again, always on Amazon Fire, on Roku TV, IPTV, and the Braveheart TV network, along with, of course, YouTube. Sunday nights, 7 p.m., we do a live YouTube release party, a premiere night. Join the chat, jump in the conversation, and be right here for another highly unscripted, fun conversation because you never know where we're going to go around the globe and what we're going to touch on. But we promise we're here to help you shine on camera, shine on stage, elevate your brand, and yes, have you have that influence rise higher and higher. We'll be back next week, 7 p.m. for another edition of Rock the Stage Show. Until then, I'm the Trigger, Rich Bontrager. Keep rocking.